So I guess really quick, for anyone who hasn't seen the show before, how this works is I used to have a YouTube show where I would recommend monthly, it would be a monthly series. I'd recommend like 10 movies or so, and I'd talk about why I liked them, why I thought people should be watching them. But obviously, when you show footage of a movie on YouTube, that gets flagged by copyright all the time. And I also hated how awful my voice sounded when I was like jiltedly reading off of a really poorly written script. So that's why I ended that series, but I still wanted to do film discussion. So that's why we have this podcast. So every episode, the guest recommends me a movie, and I recommend the guest a movie, and we come together and we discuss. So the two movies, as I'm sure you gathered by the title so far, were My Cousin Vinny and A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. So I guess we'll just start with My Cousin Vinny. So that was the movie Allison recommended me. So we'll talk a little non-spoilery at first, and then I guess once we've talked about it for a while, we'll get into spoilers. But I guess, what is My Cousin Vinny about?
So My Cousin Vinny is about these two kids who are basically trying to like get off, like they need a lawyer and they need help, and that's where My Cousin Vinny comes into play. Vinny is not, I wouldn't say a not well equipped lawyer, but thankfully he has Mona Lisa Vito on his side, which is his beautiful girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just try to work through this case and make sure that his nephew doesn't go to jail. And it's an up and down, and it's so good. Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei are in it, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a very funny movie. I have this whole list of well, first of all, my watch list on IMDb is something like 2,000 movies long, but I have this whole long side list of movies where it's like they're the like, and I'm sure everyone has them, where it's like the movies that everyone says that you should watch, but you just haven't gotten around to seeing them yet. And My Cousin Vinny has definitely been on that list for a long time. So first of all, I'm really thankful that you recommended that one. But yeah, it's a really, really funny movie. It has like when I saw a couple clips of it at first, and I thought, okay, it's like a wacky courtroom drama. Okay, that's kind of what I can expect, but it's not really like a lot of it like is like the shenanigans that go on in the courtroom, but there is a lot of like fun relationship kind of drama and comedy that comes out of Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei. It's Tomei, right? That's how you pronounce her last name? Okay. Yeah, so there is a lot of really great comedy that comes out of them. There's a lot of really good the one thing they kind of do like the who's on first gimmick with like the misunderstanding what's going on situation, like especially early on where you got Ralph Macchio confessing to shoplifting tuna, and the police thinks he's talking about this murder investigation, or when Joe Pesci shows up in the prison and he's talking about like, he's like, look, you should be grateful, it's you getting fucked, not me. Like, or it's just it's such a it's a really, really funny movie.
So good. And honestly, to be like, for Marissa Tomei to be in a movie with Joe Pesci, and low key, like, Joe Pesci's Joe Pesci, but in my opinion, I feel like her role in that was definitely more of like a power role than Joe Pesci's.
Yeah, and it doesn't really, I think that was one thing that I was really glad about, because it doesn't start off that way. It starts off kind of, well, I mean, like, they do have that line in the first scene she's in where he's like, she's an automotive expert. What do you mean there's mud in the tires? But like throughout, like especially like kind of, or when she's first introduced up until maybe like the last act, it is kind of, she seems like she is kind of just like the
ditzy, like,
right. Yeah. And then she like comes in and girl. Yeah, and then not to spoil 100% what happens yet, but she does kind of come in and save the day in a very unexpected way, or maybe not unexpected, but in a way that
definitely unexpected.
Yeah. I guess that was the word for it. But yeah, no, it was just a really funny movie, and like we said, the performances are really, really great. I was expecting it to focus, like, that was the one thing that kind of surprised me, is that I thought it would focus on Marissa No, not Marissa. I thought it was going to focus on more so on Ralph Macchio, and I forget the other guy's name. I thought it was going to be mostly about like them and Joe Pesci. I wasn't expecting it to turn into this sort of relationship drama between Joe Pesci and her, but it was. Those were the best scenes in the movie, I feel like, is whenever they're just kind of talking about where she's like, my biological clock is ticking, and he's like, I don't need one other thing to distract me here. Those were hilarious. She was great.
And he's so good, too. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe, no, it's crazy, too. That was a movie that I didn't see for the longest time. I only recently saw it, like, a month ago for the first time. And I feel like in our major, too, was always talked about. Always. People are always talking about it. Honestly, my whole life, everyone's always talking about this damn movie.
And now, finally, we both get the chance to see it.
Exactly. And everyone listening, like, please go watch it. Please watch it.
Definitely, yeah. If you guys, I always tease how you can watch the movies on my Instagram story and in the description for the video. So definitely, if you haven't seen My Cousin Vinny yet, you should pause this and use any one of those links to go and watch it. I think I rented it for I want to say maybe like $3 or $4 on Amazon Prime. I think it's about that same price on most other platforms. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Hulu or anything like that, but it is really easy to find, so you don't really have an excuse not to go watch it for yourself.
It's a need. It's not a want. It's a need.
What was the so I guess what was some of your I guess we can spoil it a little. We
right,
kind of get into spoilers.
I spoil it.
No, it's okay. So yeah, again, use that as your cue. Go watch it now and come back when you're finished, and you can be in on the conversation. So I guess what were some of your favorite scenes or gags that happen in the movie?
One of my favorite scenes for sure is the grits scene. When they go in that place. He's like, what the hell is this? And he's like eating grits. She's like, it's grits.
Yeah.
And they go try it for the first time, and she's like, this is so foul. Out. And and know what else I love about that movie? This is like unrelated to like film related, I guess. But the style, like the design, like I love that like old fashioned like Italian mob, like the way he dresses up and stuff like that. One of the gags that I loved was like the suit that she went to get him that he had to wear for for the meeting. I actually was gonna try to like use this suit, this like what is it, like a pantsuit top that I had, and I wanted to like kind of like paint that white and black design that Mona Lisa Vito wore on the stand. Which, spoiler alert, here it comes. She basically saves the day because she like knows the time that like the tire was like, I don't even know. What is she? I should read the whole entire thing.
Yeah, no, that yeah, sure, if you want. It was but it's like it just like goes back to what we had said, where it's like the like you had said it best, where she starts off as this very like ditzy, you don't think there's like, she's just there to be comic relief, but then she like drops science on the on the whole the jury and everyone.
She dropped some facts. It's a jaw-dropping performance.
Yeah.
Wait.
It's something about like the way the car was built, because she's like she used to be like working her like dad's like auto shop or whatever, so she knows like everything there is to know about cars, literally like dropping like model numbers and like the year like a specific part was made and like all sorts of crazy. It's really funny.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, great. All right, let's hear it now. For the first time on the Watchlist Podcast, we have a dramatic recreation of the of My Cousin Vinny. Take it away.
Chevy didn't make a 320. I can't do it. I can't.
Okay. Well, hold on. Are there other? are there
no.
other? Hold on.
Chevy didn't make a 327, a 55 inch rims. The 327 didn't come out till 62, and it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with a 4-barrel. See, I can't even say it because I don't even know what I'm saying. Just know that she dropped some mechanical engineering facts on everybody, and nobody expected it.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I love that. But that's because it's like it is such like an oh shit moment where she gets up on the stand and you're like, okay, well, what's his plan here? Like, she can't know that much about cars or whatever. And then the prosecution guy comes out and then like he does his like long hypothetical question and she can't answer it at first. And you're like, oh, they're screwed. But then she's like, well, no, it's because the question doesn't make any sense because like, and here's why you're an idiot for asking that. And it's like, and you're like, oh, damn. It's just that whole sequence from that point to the end of the movie is amazing. And I mean, even aside from that, I like the running gag of them like constantly trying to find like a quiet place to sleep, and there's always something that gets in the way. I love it.
Yeah, like the car scene, like all of that. That's so good.
I like the one of my favorite moments in the movie is when he gets Joe Pesci gets like held in contempt for like the third time or whatever, and he's like, just leave me in prison, maybe I'll get a good night's sleep. And then like it shows like there's like the sounds of like a riot happening, and you think, oh great, he's not gonna get any sleep. But then it pans over and he's sleeping like a baby. And I love that so much. It's really funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of like technical comedy stuff that they use that like we learn in like comedy class, like callbacks and like stuff like that, just like how they set it up. Like they really delivered really well on all the jokes. Joe Pesci though, how can he not?
At the height of his like yeah, modern style, like he was like when he was known for like yelling and having an attitude.
Exactly.
Which actually
made millions off of just being like ignorant.
Exactly.
Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei, check them out.
Couple goals, and I love like the recurring thing of like them like trying to like figure out their wedding or whatever. And he's like, when I win my first case, then we'll go off and get married. And then he wins his first case, and he's like, yeah, but I didn't do it by myself, so it doesn't really count. And it's like, it's just, and like we end on them like driving off and yelling at each other. It's just, it's a great way to end the movie. I like how like the movie starts with like being about, oh man, how are these two kids gonna get out of trouble? But then it turns into like, oh man, aren't these two people cute? Like,
yeah, it's like a low key love story. You don't really see it coming though, at all.
And I love how like they have that fight and then they make amends on the witness stand too. That was really good.
Cause like that's like her whole act is like she's like this petty girl, you know, petty woman.
Yeah, her performance is really funny. And then I don't know what else to say. It's just a really really funny, enjoyable movie. A lot of good, well written, like you said, there's like a lot of classic comedy techniques where it's like you have the misdirection or like the callback and all that. There's a lot of moments like that. There's some visual humor that's really great. I think my favorite scene overall, just because of how stupid it is he's in the when they're talking about going deer hunting. I really like where he's like, I'm gonna get the files from him. I'll finesse some information out of him. And and you're like, oh man, what's he gonna do? And then they're in the car, and he's like, hey, can I take a look at your files? And you're like, oh, he just fucked up. And then the guy was like, oh no, yeah, sure, I'll fax him over to you. And like, it's such a short like throwaway joke, but I love that moment so much because it's just like this like tense build up where you're like, oh man, what shenanigans is gonna come out of this? And it just resolves itself like that. It's just too funny.
It's so intense for no reason.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, no. So definitely check out My Cousin Vinny, if only for seeing a good comedic relationship drama with a court case thrown in.
Yeah, it is random. It's very random. I'll give it that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's not that long, right? It was only like it's less than like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
right?
something like that. I think it's
Yeah.
about an hour and a half, or maybe a little bit less, if memory serves. But it doesn't feel that way at all. It goes by It feels like it goes by fast, but it goes by fast in the way where it's like you want it to keep going by the time that it ends.
Yeah. So good. I wish there's like another one,
Mm.
like just about their relationship, like a second one.
I heard there was supposed. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. There was a proposed sequel where the scriptwriter he talked about doing a sequel involving Vinny going to England, but Marissa Tomei didn't want to do it for some
Oh,
reason. So
oh,
the studio, yeah, it says the studio hired another screenwriter to rework the script without her character in it, but eventually the project was shelved. I mean, I guess it just goes to show it doesn't work with her in it at
I
all.
would, yeah, I was about to say that makes it even more iconic that they were going to do a second one, and she was like, no, and Joe Pesci wasn't enough for them to still do it. They were like, wow,
Joe
'cause
Pesci just wasn't enough. Uh,
I wonder, she probably had other projects that she was working on.
Probably, yeah. It was yeah, this would have been yeah, way later in 2012 it says this the interview happened.
Yeah.
Uh and then and there's a it says there's a series of novels based author Lawrence Kelter began a My Cousin Vinny novel series with Back to Brooklyn, which is intended to be in the spirit of with let's see, the series depicts the further cases of Vinny Gambini and with Mona Lisa operating as his investigator. After additionally, okay, so yeah, it looks like there's a spiritual successor in a series of books.
Oh, okay.
So I guess if you just can't get enough of My Cousin Vinny, let's see, what is the okay, so I guess the book is called Back to Brooklyn.
I feel like I've heard of that, to be honest.
Huh. Yeah, I this is the first time I'm hearing about it. Yeah, Back to Brooklyn, and then there's another. I guess there's two of them where it's Back to Brooklyn, and then there's one coming out soon called Wing and a Prayer. But okay, so then yeah, there's additional reading material if you
I'm
just
gonna have to
cannot
check
get
that out.
enough My Cousin Vinny. Check out either of those books.